Hi, welcome back to Lakeside Quilt Making Arts. I am thrilled to have you here. Thank you for spending some time with me. My name is Dawn. I've named this channel Dawn at the Lake because I am at the lake. I'm not in Boston, even though I love to wear this shirt. I just want to have a disclaimer about that. This is just a very comfy shirt that I got this summer while in Boston. I traveled to Providence, Rhode Island for a surgery on my spinal cord. It was the second surgery I've had on my spinal cord, and it was very successful, obviously, or I would not be doing this channel. And afterwards, a few weeks later, we were in Boston, ready to fly home. And beforehand, we went through the downtown area and did a little bit of sightseeing. I was in a wheelchair, motorized wheelchair. My batteries died. I don't know if you've ever pushed a motorized wheelchair, but they give resistance while you're trying to manually push them. So here I am, my full adult height and weight in this heavy wheelchair, and my son is pushing me off through downtown Boston. And then he bought me this shirt and another one. I had wanted a comfy sweatshirt. I bought one when I was in New York years ago, or in the early 2000s. I don't know when that was. And I've worn it to death. I love it. And I wanted a new one like that. You know, just these real cotton, all 100% cotton. They're just super comfortable, perfect weekend wear. So you're going to see me in this a lot, as long as it's chilly at all outside, which it barely is right now, because I went to the lake yesterday and walked with my dog, and I thought, oh, I may regret not wearing gloves, but I was taking my jacket off before I even got to the lake. And the lake is, to walk on the road, the lake is a little bit less than a quarter of a mile away. Anyway, it was lovely out. I had a great time. She had a good time. Let's get back to why we're here. This channel is a learn with me kind of channel. I am not an expert at anything. I have a little bit of experience, but I am on a learning curve, and I'm here to share it with you. I hope you can have some grace for where I'm a big doofus while I'm learning, and hope you find it interesting where I can actually share something with you. As in this block that we're working on today. Today, we're going to be talking about the block of the month for the Quilt Show. We're going to be talking about Jen Kingwell's Block of the Month program that the Quilt Show is doing. So if you're a member of the Quilt Show, and if you're not, I don't know why you're not. It is $49 for a year, and the wealth of information that you get from that is just extraordinary. The amount of talent that you get to learn from, and the inspiration, the energy from it is just phenomenal. You have to be a member to do the block of the month, but I don't know if you have to be a member to watch Barbara on YouTube. They have a lot of videos on their channel that you can only access through their website if you're a member. I'm not quite sure. I'll have to look that up for Barbara's video. But I started to watch it yesterday because the new pattern came out, and I was ready. You know, I've been eager to start on block number 2, and I am telling you, I was so quickly overloaded. No disrespect meant to anybody at the Quilt Show or Barbara. It was just a lot of information, and to be honest, I was tired. So I wasn't prepared for all the information that I got. So what they did is they downloaded 2 different types of patterns for us. And they gave us the pattern for, let me show you. Hang on. Let me see if I can show you. So this is what we've done to date, and I'll show you that one again. So that middle star is what we did. Now, what they've given us a pattern for is all the blocks that look like that right there. Okay, I think there's 20 of them. Yes, 20 blocks. And then they gave us additional set of patterns, and it said for fan blades. And I'm thinking, I just did all my fan blades. I just did that star. That's not what they were talking about. They're talking about these fan blades that are part of the border. So they gave you the template for the fan blades, not for the background of that block, but just the fan blades. And I had questions about that too. That pattern that they sent us had a set of A templates, a set of B templates, a set of C templates, and each of them had 4 fan blades on them. They all look like they're identical to me, so I'm not quite sure why we have A, B, and C. And I wasn't expecting to get 2 different types of patterns. To get 20 of these blocks done this month, I think that's doable. I'm going to have to hustle. I'm going to be leaving town next week, not this coming week, but the next week for about 3 days. So what I might do is I might try to get everything cut and prepared so that whenever I am traveling, because I won't be driving, maybe while I'm sitting in the car, I can work on them. It's generally not a good time for me to be using my head. So that may not work out because I have to keep things upright because I can't bend my head down. And if I try, I get a lot of neural strain and it starts to affect my vision. Because all of my head movement that you see from me comes from here. Everything above that to my back of my head is fused. So I don't know that I can be productive with my handwork in the car. I might be able to since these are pretty easy. It's not like you're doing a long running stitch on each of those fan blades. We'll see, but I'm going to take it with me because there'll be downtime. There'll be time in the in the hotel. So we'll just see. I like to make use of that time since it's going to be time away from the studio. We'll see. We'll see. You may have clicked on this thumbnail because you're wanting to know about the Jen Kingwell's templates or the block of the month. And if so, you are probably aware that there's been some snags with their templates. And I just want to say up front, I have 0 affiliation with the Quilt Show. So I speak with no authority about anything that they're doing. But they did make it known that if you are wanting to pre-order any more templates, that you need to get your order in before Monday. Then any of the new ones that come in, you don't have to worry about missing a notice. Yours is already done. And they ask that you fill your cart with that pre-order and only that pre-order. Don't put anything else in that cart. So again, I have no affiliation with the Quilt Show, so go to them to verify all that information. They're doing their best. They reordered these templates and sold them out, I think, twice already, or if not 3 times. I think everybody was like I was whenever I first saw the quilt. I just didn't value the quilt the way I do now when I first saw it. I don't know why, but whenever I saw Jen Kingwell being interviewed about the quilt, oh my gosh, it just really hit me. I'm just in love with it. I'm in love with the concept that she did it all by hand and that I can learn those techniques. So that's what my interest is. So when I was watching Barbara yesterday, I was a little overwhelmed. Not negatively, positively. She was giving so much good information, and it was about different ways to accomplish this block that are more efficient, that are outside of the box thinking. And I like that. And I probably will come back to those videos and try to make the same blocks out of other fabrics just so that I can practice what she is trying to teach. But in the back of my head, I'm having to say, okay, Dawn, that's not what you're doing. You know, like right now you have limited capacity to take in anything else. So you have to kind of keep up a mental block to the incoming information and watch it and try to weed out what it is that I can take from it and apply. Because a lot of what she was teaching, I'm thinking, I'm going to have to postpone working on that. And then I'm thinking, okay, let me go and read my pattern so that I know what it is the pattern wants me to do. I want to know how Jen did it, and that's how I want to do it. So just know that if you're following Barbara and you're doing this block too, please let me know. I'm looking to be part of that community. But at the same time, I want you to know that I'm doing it differently than what Barbara's doing it. I am trying to do it to the T, to the way that the pattern is. In yesterday's video, Barbara said that Jen Kingwell will not be coming back and giving any further instructions on the hand construction of this quilt. But she did point us back to some of the videos that the Quilt Show's done historically regarding hand stitching. And I think the only one that they've mentioned was Jinny Beyer. I rewatched Jenny's video after that. And after getting off the one with Barbara, I rewatched Jenny's, and I rewatched it like 3 more times last night. It was so helpful. I am ecstatic. I really wish Jen Kingwell would come back and do more teaching too. They did say that you can search for her on YouTube, which I've done. I've seen some of her other videos. So let me go back to telling you that they gave a video number, like a title number for the shows that have Jen Kingwell in them. And the main one you want to go to is number 601. That's where Alex and Ricky are in Jenny's home. She's such a classy lady, and it's just a cool house. So they were in her home. Now the next one is show number 3008, and it's basically a recap of the one from 601. She's just a dear, and I've Googled her later. I searched her on YouTube later and found some other videos where she was describing some things that she does. I really want to find out what thread she uses, because she was using a thicker thread. And she mentions that in her video, in the interview with Ricky and Alex, but they don't say what it is. They just say that it's a heavy duty. It's a Conso, C-O-N-S-O. I did look up that name brand. That might be a brand that's not on the market now. I'm not quite sure. It was a bit of a search to find what I did find, and what I found did not look like it was for quilting. So I'm thinking maybe that manufacturer is not providing quilting thread now. But it was a heavy duty, like it was a thick thread, which was kind of surprising. And she recommended that. You know, she's like this guru of hand stitching, so that, you know, my ears were perked up and I was listening and paying attention. I was ready to get some different thread, because what I was using, I talked to you guys about how that thread has been coiling up on me and those kinds of things, and I feel like it's because it's a cotton thread that doesn't have a finish on the outside of it. And that leads me to another thing, a tip that I learned from Jinny in that interview. If your thread starts to coil up on you, like mine was doing in the last video that I put out, take the head of your needle. Here you go. Let's pretend this is a needle, and this is where your thread's coming out of, and this is your fabric. Take your needle down to your fabric and keep your thread pulled tight, and then wiggle your needle back up, and that will pull that coil out of that thread. I think that is a beautiful little tip, and I plan on using it heavily. I think this is just about going to wrap us up. Oh, goodness, no, it doesn't. So I got a recommendation from one of the subscribers that I should punch a hole in my templates, because in my templates that I created last time, I got the rubber not perfect. I don't know how well you can see how there's a little bit of, yeah, you can kind of see that, right? The material that I pushed out came to the back, so they don't sit real flat, which is not great. She recommended that I do a hole punch, and I told her I don't have anything but like a 1/4 inch hole punch. I know you can get smaller ones, but I'm thinking, well, if I'm going to buy a special hole punch, I might as well buy the templates. But buy a hole punch one time, and you can get a 1/16 inch. They did mention that in the video yesterday, that you can get a 1/16 inch hole punch, and you can get them probably in what do you call that section? Like stationery and stuff like that, where you do paper crafting. And that would make sense. That's something that maybe I should do. But another approach that they recommended, someone said that they burn it. So I'm going to give that a try. After we finish up right here, I'm going to give it a try. And at the end of this video, I'll show you how it worked out. I'm going to practice on template material that I've not cut out. So another tip I picked up from Barbara's video, was that the one I picked it up from? That one or Jinny, I don't remember. Anyway, what I did is I took the template and I made the paper template, and I made templates. This is for the no seam allowance, the inside version of it, and this is the bigger version. So this fits inside here, and I can match it up. Where it matches up is where I've marked it. You can see those marks. I don't have it perfectly lined up, obviously. Okay, so that tells me exactly where I need to put my pinholes. And after I get my fabric cut out, then I can use that for marking my sewing line. One of the tips that Jinny, what was her last name again? I just told it to you. Jinny Beyer. That Jinny Beyer said in her video, in her interview, was that, and this is what I was doing, on the center star block, she just sews on the top piece of fabric. She doesn't, she doesn't mark, but on the top piece of fabric. So that's a little bit less work that way. There's no need to mark on each piece, to cut each piece separately. And she doesn't use a rotary cutter. And this video was some time ago, so I don't know what she does now. But she wasn't using a rotary cutter. She was using scissors to cut everything out. And she was doing 2 layers of fabric at a time. And she was only putting the sew lines on that top piece of fabric. Okay, so those are the things I've learned. It was a little overwhelming. Like I said, it doesn't sound like anything. So, bear with me when I say it was overwhelming, but it was. It was like, I rewatched it. I think I watched her 3 times yesterday, and then I watched Jenny's 3 times. And because I am trying to learn. This is a learning channel, a Learn With Me channel, and I am on a mission to learn as much technique and skill, and to hone that intuition about what works and what doesn't work. And you don't do that by only going off-roading with things like this creative one. You do it by leaning into the simple quilts and overthinking things, and by doing the blocks of the month, and listening to experts and following them, and listening to people in the community. Oh, in the video that I put out this is Sunday. I put it out Friday. Yes, it was the Friday video, which is now not just the Friday recap, it is Friday with Friends. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. But in that recap, I did talk about my center block. I'm going to pull that out here. By the way, this paper box that I have for my quilt, for the Quilt Show's block of the month, it smells. It smells like what I pick up whenever I take my dog out. And I don't know if that's off-gassing from the plastics, off-gassing from the fabrics, off-gassing from the box. I don't remember the box ever smelling before, but it's not pleasant. So I don't want my fabric getting that smell in, so I will be finding something else to keep this in. Okay, so I love it. I really do. It's I went on a hunt for this fabric. I talk about that in this past Friday's show. You can go back and watch that. And I talked about the size of this and the size of printing out the templates. So I went into enough detail there. I'm not going to ask you to rewatch it here. If you're curious about that, go back and watch that there. I feel like I'm comfortable moving forward with my patterns the way they are and my stitching the way they are. I'm just not going to have a quilt that is the same as everybody else's. But if I find I need to, I did buy more fabric, and I talk about how I found that fabric in that video too. It was kind of an interesting, I felt kind of proud of my little sleuthing capabilities. So it's good that they sent us the fan blades for all these border blocks so that we can work on those before this fall, because those are going to take more time. And at some point when we do all this applique, see all that applique and the inner border, all that beautiful applique, I've never really been one who likes applique on quilts. I'm transitioning over to liking applique now. I don't know why I didn't like it before, and I'm not like in love with it or anything, but I am going to be glad to have this little bit of applique journey here. With all that said, when I've seen felt on wool, felt applique on wool, that I love. I love that a lot. A friend of mine has a wool quilt from her grandmother that has some holes in it. If you have any tips about how to treat an old wool quilt before it has been worked on to, improve it because it's got some holes in it, because I'm thinking we should kill off any signs of moth. Should we freeze it? Should we treat it with anything? Anyway, that's another question. But that's a question to you, YouTube community. Please let me know if you know. I've heard you should freeze it to make sure that any larvae or anything else in there is dead. That would be good. Anyway, I'm thinking that we can mend her quilt by putting some wool felt applique on it. And I feel like we ought to set up a quilting frame in her house, and her 3 daughters and I and any of her friends come, and we just make like a long weekend of it. We're going to see. I'm going to ask her about it. I'm going to see her Thursday. We'll see what she thinks about that idea. I love the idea. But then we need to find a quilting frame that we can borrow for a little bit. She's got a big enough house. She's got a couple of different areas that could hold a quilting frame for a little bit of time. It'd be interesting. It'd be very interesting. So I'm going to see now if I can burn some holes in this acrylic. Oh, it's not acrylic, I'm sorry, in this plastic template. I was going to show you too I told you in the last video that the new template material was exactly the same as what I had been using. Well, it's not. It's different color, but otherwise it's exactly the same. To find which one of these it is. Yeah, I don't know if you can tell. See how transparent that is? That came from the new material. And you see how opaque that is? So this is what I ordered from Amazon. I've already got them put up. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a funky name. And I mentioned that whenever I talked about the templates in the last video. It was a set of 4 cutting boards for the kitchen. And it's the same, I swear, by feeling it, it feels thicker than this. But when you put them up together, like your fingers don't discern a difference. So it must be microscopically different. But it's more transparent, which is a bit of a bonus. And therefore, I swear it's sturdier. And so you're pulling a pin against it or a knife or rotary blade against it, you've got a little bit more resistance there. So I do like that. So you may want to consider that for yours too. So it's a lot of material, but I got, from my original piece of plastic, I got all the templates for block 1 and block 2, except for this one piece, which I had to cut into the new material. All right, there's that. I'm excited about getting started on this next block, and I wish I had somebody to watch, but at the same time, I'm glad that I have to think to do this. That was the whole objective behind this, is to really ingrain it in my head the skill sets, the processes, and if I'm having to think it through, then it is actually sticking in my head a little bit better because I'm incredibly dense. I have to hear it, see it, feel it, touch it, live it, go through it before it sticks in there. It's a bit of an exaggeration, but it's not too far. That's why I re-listen to things and videos. I rewatch educational videos, and I just part of the process. That's okay though. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to start with one of my big nail pens that I keep on my design board, since it's got a long handle, and I'll burn that, and then I'll see if I can't burn through the template. And if I can, hopefully what that will do, it will make that template not push out so much material out the back side, but kind of melt it away. In other words, well, where does that material go if it doesn't go out the back? Then what happens is it's really becoming part of the atmosphere, and I'm going to be smelling it, but we're talking microscopic little dots, so I won't be smelling a lot of it, inhaling a lot of it. Okay, this is it for the moment. It is time to figure out if I can make some more holes. If I can't do it with burning, I will go back to the way I did it the first time, because I'm not fighting the fight of getting the templates from Australia, and I want everybody else to do that. And I like it that I'm having to be creative and figure this out on my own. Remind me I said that, please. Okay, I have set myself up at my ironing board because it's really my only clean, flat surface at the moment, because I don't want to move anything else. All right, I've got a little piece of scrap plastic from the original set of templates, the thinner plastic, because I feel like I might be a little luckier with that. For my flame, I've got, hopefully this thing works. Let's see. Yes, it works. And I've got 2 different corn holders. I just spotted when I was pulling this out of my drawer. I spotted these, and that might be interesting, because that's a much bigger, what is it, radius, circumference for poking the hole. That would be great if that works. This is flat, so I don't think it would work as well because it would create a rectangular hole. So I'm going to give this one a go first, and we'll see what happens. All right, I'm going to push you down so you can watch too. All right, what you're not going to be able to see from there is that I've got another block because I'm on my wool mat, but this is such a careful experiment that I don't think I'm risking burning my mat or anything else, but I'm going to be putting this hot tip on that so it doesn't go onto my wool mat. All right, let's see if I can remember to keep that where you can see it. I feel like I should do the poking with my dominant hand. If I can use the, I told you I have weak hands. Let's see. See it turning black. That worked beautifully. Yes. Okay, that's lovely. We're doing more of that. Hang on. Now it's a tiny little hole. I don't know if you can see it at all. But I wonder, where did it go? I wonder if I keep on pushing, if I hold it up and push through, because all I've done is I pushed the tip through there. But if I kept on pushing, I would get the full circumference of that rod. That's what I'm going to try. All right, this is interesting. This is from the original template too, and this was too, but one's transparent and one's not. I have to go back and think through that. Oh my gosh. Okay, who else sees a dolphin and who sees a pig? I promise you I'm not sleep deprived. I got good sleep last night. Just using my creativity. All right, we're going to give this another go. Okay, this is real. This is a real template. See what happens. Okay, good and hot. Good and hot. Keep it hot and go through. Oh, yes. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Can you see that? know how to get you to be able to see that. There, you can see that, right? That's lovely. And it's not bunched up in the back. I know somebody's going to be saying, oh, that poor girl, she doesn't know that already. Bless her heart. Well, yeah, just bless my heart all day long. I need all the blessings I can get. Okay, are we hot enough? Yes. Yes. Yay. Not so sure that I'm not breathing it though. I'm going to actually put a mask on. I call that success because the back and front, well, take that back. It's a little bit of a bump where some of the material pushed out the back. However, one thing I did notice, well, one thing I'm noticing right now is that I was not consistent from which side I pushed my little point through, because the bump is on the thumb side here, there. Yeah, it is there too. Actually, I guess I was consistent. I thought I was feeling it differently. But it's not the kind of bump that I had whenever I was pushing a pin through it before. So this is good. I can stick a pin head through that, especially one of my other pins, but that one fits through there. That one fits through there, and I can always make it a little bit bigger. I'm so excited about that. That seems much more clever and much neater, cleaner. So I just need to punch holes for this one's done. I need, well, this is the inside piece, so it won't have holes, and that won't have holes. This will have holes. And, oh shoot, I didn't mark on that one. Yeah, these two will have holes. So I'll get those marked up, and then I can worry about my next problem, and that's picking out which fabrics were going to go in this block. So did I even show that to you? Let me find that for you really quickly so we can see what we're working on. So you can see, oops, where am I pointing? Yeah, that's a good one to see right there. That one right there. We're making 20 of those. So it looks like a 9 patch, but it's not really a 9 patch because the outer piece, the outer blocks, the outer units are not square. Hence, this guy. So I've got to give some thought to what my background I want to use. Remember, I've got a really dark background here. I used that dark blue. And if I've got this dark blue in the center, do I want to keep up with that as all of my background everywhere? Or do I want to do something a little different? Don't know. I kind of feel like I want to do it all in the blue. Now that I'm going to have a yard of it coming, it's being shipped to me. I can do that now that I have a yard coming. Okie dokie, time to be thinking. So if you think about it, what's going on here is you've got the center medallion star, center medallion block. I don't know. I need to really look up the definition of a medallion whenever you're talking about quilting. Let's just call it the center block. And then you've got a lot of color in here. And then you have a lot of relief from color, just getting color from your applique. And then you've got a lot more color on that exterior row. And then on that very outside border, you just have the fan blocks, which give you some relief from all the saturated colors, because there's, what do you call that? Forget what you call that, like the handle to the fan. It's got another name. And those are all done in a light. But this is my quilt, and I get to design it the way I want to do it. And I really like the idea of a really saturated background everywhere. Although I do like how this alternates from saturated to a break to saturated. So I may break mine up too. Don't know. I don't have to decide that just yet. Right now, all I need to do is decide if my block is going to blend in to this area or if it's going to stand out like that does. Don't know. Stay tuned. We'll figure it out. I'm not there yet. I've got a month to get this done. Oh my goodness. I feel a little bit behind the 8 ball, mostly because I'm having to leave town. I'll be gone. What days am I gone? 13th, 14th, and 15th of February. You know, and when you travel, it doesn't just take those days that you're gone, right? It takes a travel day, or it takes a day before at least, to make sure you're packing, you got all your stuff, you're prepared, you've done all the things you need to for your household or for any of your responsibilities. And then you come back and it takes about the same kind of time to unwind all that activity, right? You've got to unpack, you got to get your clothes clean. If I'm taking my dog with me or leaving her at my mother's or go and get her, all the different activities and energies that go into that. So it's always intimidating to me when I'm having to spend that kind of time engrossed in something, and that kind of energy engrossed in something, because I know I'm stealing it from something else. And all I want to do is just sit here in my studio and work. But this is a doctor's appointment in Charleston, South Carolina. So it's not like it's a bad drive, and it's not like it's going to be unpleasant. This is just go and see my neurosurgeon. I had surgery in May of last year to have the hardware taken out of my skull and my neck because I was allergic to it. That he had put that hardware in October of the previous year. And this is my checkup with him. And we are going to be talking about my other spinal issues, and then the fact that I still have some of that hardware in me, and if I have the opportunity to take that out or not, because I'm still having an allergic reaction to that. So it's not like this is a hard appointment. It's just a doctor's appointment. I just happen to have to go 9 hours away for it. I just have to either fly or drive. And I'm doing so well, I almost considered driving myself. I really don't enjoy flying anymore. I really don't. It's just hit or miss about how flying goes, And then up until this morning, I was thinking that I would take my dog with me because she has been so high maintenance after her surgery. But she's almost at the point where I think I could leave her with my mother, but she requires medication, and do I want to burden my mother with that? And my dog hates to be away from me, so I think it's probably the best. She's probably going to ride with me. She'll be stressed a little bit because she's on the move, but she'll also not be stressed because she's with me. Anyway, a friend is going to go with me. She's going to drive, and like I said, I almost feel like I could do it, but I haven't driven more than an hour at a time. And every once in a while, it will become too much for me. And when I get a lot of straining of all these muscles around this area, it gets an optic nerve somehow, and it affects my vision, affects my ears, and all kinds of things. So you don't want to be traveling 8 or 9 hours away with your freshly recovered from surgery dog and have any of these issues pop up. So the safest thing to do is to have a friend go with me. My friend Margot is a sweetheart, and she's going to do that with me. So it's not an unpleasant appointment. It's not an unpleasant thing that's taking me out of the house. It's almost, a non-event, but it's an event. It still is going to take me away from the studio. That's why I was saying at the beginning of this video that I might do my best, that I will do my best to get some of these fan blades at least sewn up or cut up so that I can at least stitch them, because they're just easy stitching. No thinking, right? You just, in fact, I could even take my fabric and just cut my fabric while I'm gone, but I don't think I can do it while I'm in the car. Anyway, that's enough of that. It's more information than you wanted to know. But I told you at the beginning when I started this channel in my introductory video that I'm freshly on the other side of a 12-year medical crisis journey, whatever you want to call it, and doing beautifully in comparison to what I was. But I know from how things have been in the past 5 or 6 years, I have to pace myself. I have to make sure I don't go backwards. I don't make things worse, So I have recruited a friend, and I will be going to a doctor's appointment in Charleston, South Carolina, and that's the entire reason that I'm going out of the studio. So instead of a 15-minute doctor's appointment across town, it's a 9-hour drive, and then a day there, and then a day back of driving. It is what it is. 3 days, and money, and hotel, and gas, and food while traveling. That is a life of a chronic illness patient. Before I close out this video, I want to mention something. In a video I put out on Friday, I highlighted the YouTube channels that I've been learning from. And when I did that, it must have triggered something in YouTube, because then YouTube started to show me other accounts that I had not come across yet. And one of those was an account, Marnae Farmhouse. I think it's more, I'll put it on the screen if it's different than that, but it's Marnae. And I can remember that because my middle name ends with A, Renae. So it's Marnae Farmhouse Quilter, I think. Anyway, I'll put it on the screen. She and her husband have a sewing, quilting business, and they're a wonderful, sweet couple. I watched 2 of their videos and noticed one of the comments on one of her videos where she was being interviewed on another channel, actually, which is how I found her. I started watching a channel, The Idiot Culture, which is an interesting name. I guess that's a name he chose so that he can ask all the questions. Kind of like that take on things. Anyway, she was being interviewed there, she and her husband too. And in that video, I noticed a commenter saying that she was praying for them because their house had just burned down. So then I went to their channel and saw that indeed their entire house with their animals and all of her quilts and everything to do with their quilting business burnt to the ground. And so they have had a very recent horrible loss. And I bring this up because you can do something to help. I'm not asking you to send them money. I'm not asking you to do anything like that. You can do something free that doesn't cost you anything, doesn't even cost you any time. Doesn't have to. It can if you want. But if you go to their channel and watch their videos, it will help them. It will bring income into them. And that would be a good thing for them right now. She is a single-handed quilter. She lost her left arm. I don't know how much of it, but most all of it in an accident when I think she said she was 3. She was in she got caught up in a tractor. Her father ran over her because he didn't know that she was there. He thought she was inside with his wife and with her mother. So, almost all of her life, except for the first 3 years, she has been with just one arm. So she quilts and does this YouTube channel with just one arm. So with all my spine issues and my other issues, I can appreciate what it's like trying to do something with some impairments. And so I had a lot of respect for her. And she is maintaining a jovial attitude through her journey right now. She and her husband both are saying, we will recover, we will rebuild. And, You know, when you get a blank slate like that, you get to really fine tune what it is you want. And I hope that they're very successful at that. So before I get into turning this into a promotional channel all about her, I'm just sending you her way. You know, we have to take care of those in our community. And they are a couple right now who are, you know, trying to do a good job in this quilting community who are in need. And all you got to do is go and watch their videos. So I'll put a link to their videos in the description of this video. And so then you can just click on that and go and, you know, watch 5 or 6 of their videos. You know, if it's not your thing, just turn it on while you're getting dressed in the morning and let it play. But because it will still show videos and they'll still get a little bit of income from it. But, you know, maybe this is something that you like to do. Obviously, you're watching me, so you are a quilter or have an interest in quilting. But if you're watching me just because you want to see this goofy girl make mistakes, then go and watch them and help them out too. It won't hurt you. Before I finish this video out, I want to say thank you to everybody who is a subscriber. You all are fantastic. It makes my day to see when I check my stats in the morning, if there's another subscriber or another subscriber, that, oh, cool, that's great. Somebody thinks that what I'm doing is worth watching and they want to see more of it. And that fuels me along. It doesn't take much. That's all it takes. But I'm grateful for everybody who's watching, everybody who's sharing the videos and, you know, subscribing. It's really helpful. Every new channel really appreciates probably the first 100 subscribers, you know, even more than the one that takes them to 1,000 or the one that takes them to 100,000. Because it takes a lot of work to produce these videos. I'm enjoying it. I enjoy sharing, and it helps keep me accountable on my learning journey. But I do want to make sure that it is useful for somebody else. And when I get those subscribers, it helps me to think that somebody else is interested. All right, my friends, I hope you have a glorious slow stitching Sunday. I'm here for you. I'm going to be working on getting the rest of my templates ready. And then I'm going to be transitioning, though, because I got to prepare my motor blocks for Monday's video. What I've done for my slow stitching for this weekend, I've got a check mark by that. I'm going to be moving on. As soon as I get my templates all burned, holes burned in them, I'll be moving on to working on my motor blocks. I'm excited about that one too. So tune in Monday to see what I got accomplished. Have a great day. Talk to you later. Thanks for being here. Bye.